Imagine you are descending toward a planet that looks almost like Earth. Deep blue clouds swirl in the atmosphere. Light reflects across the atmosphere like sunlight hitting an ocean. For a moment, it feels familiar, but the closer you get, the more you realize something is wrong. Because this planet does not want you to leave. At first, the discovery felt like hope. In 2005, astronomers detected a giant world orbiting a distant star about 64 light-years away from Earth. They named it HD 189733b. And unlike most planets discovered in deep space, this one was beautiful. Not red, not black, not burning orange. Blue. A calm, rich blue that looked disturbingly Earth-like. NASA itself described it as deceptively Earth-like because of that color. But the truth hiding beneath those clouds was far worse than anyone imagined. Because there are no oceans down there, no water, no life. Only an atmosphere so violent, it turns the entire planet into a permanent weapon. And that's when everything changes. At first you think this is simply another gas giant. Dangerous, yes, but survivable with the right equipment. Therefore, the adventure begins. The ship pushes deeper into the atmosphere. Outside, the blue haze thickens. Lightning flickers through the clouds. Instruments start glitching. Tiny vibrations spread through the hull. Not enough to panic yet, but enough to make you stop thinking. And then the winds hit. At first it sounds like turbulence. Then it sounds like screaming. Because the winds on HD 189733b may exceed 5,400 miles per hour, over 7 times the speed of sound. The atmosphere itself is moving faster than some bullets on Earth. But here's the problem. The deeper you go, the worse it gets. This planet is classified as a hot Jupiter, a massive gas giant slightly larger and heavier than Jupiter itself. Meaning the gravity below you is becoming more dangerous every second, not the kind of gravity that pulls you gently downward. The kind that traps you. And that's when you notice the temperature outside. 900 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt metal, hot enough to turn your landing systems into liabilities, hot enough to melt the strongest and toughest elements ever known in seconds. But this planet still hasn't shown you its worst feature. Because then the rain begins. Only it doesn't fall downward, it moves sideways. The atmosphere of HD 189733b likely contains silicate particles, tiny fragments of glass forming inside the superheated sky. And because of those impossible winds, the rain cuts horizontally across the planet at thousands of miles per hour. Liquid glass, flying sideways, like endless razor blades moving through the atmosphere. The rain doesn't fall, it hunts. Then you realize something horrifying. This planet isn't trying to kill you quickly. It's destroying you slowly, and that's far worse. Because if the ship dies before you do, there is no escape. But that's not even the worst part. The deeper you descend, the stranger the planet becomes. There's no ground beneath you, no mountains, no oceans, no surface at all. Just endless atmosphere, becoming denser and hotter and more violent the farther you go. At first, you assume you'll eventually find a stable layer to relaunch from. But every kilometer downward makes escape less possible. Pressure increases catastrophically. Engines lose efficiency. And that is when you realize the terrifying truth. You may already be too deep to leave. Imagine that moment. Not death, not impact, not explosion. Realization. The understanding that every second you spent exploring permanently sealed your fate. Because coming was always easier than leaving, and now the gravity is pulling harder than you can resist. Therefore, everything changes again. This is no longer exploration, it's survival. This planet never stops screaming. The winds are global, permanent. The atmosphere itself groans around you like a living machine, tearing itself apart. There is no silence here, no calm, no night where things settle down. Only endless turbulence, glass impacts, metal fatigue, and the horrifying awareness that you are slowly being ripped apart. And then communication with Earth starts failing, because HD 189733b is 64 light-years away from Earth. Even if you transmitted a distress signal right now, humanity wouldn't hear it for decades. No rescue mission is coming. No backup crew exists. By the time Earth learns what happened, you will already be gone. And somehow, that isolation becomes more terrifying than the planet itself. Because humans are built to believe someone can save them. But space doesn't care. And this is where things change completely. You start asking a question you didn't prepare for. What if this planet was always a trap? Think about it. Humans associate blue planets with life, with water, with safety. That instinct is ancient, it's psychological. Which means HD 189733b weaponizes the very thing humans trust most: hope. That's why this world is more terrifying than lava planets or dead moons. A lava planet looks hostile immediately. You know not to go there. But HD 189733b deceives you first. It invites you closer. It pretends to be familiar. And that deception changes everything, because curiosity keeps humans moving forward, long after survival says stop. Therefore, the exploration continues. Suddenly, the realization spreads through you at once. This planet should never have been considered safe to begin with. No stable layer, no escape window, no point where humanity could survive. Only different stages of dying, and that creates a different kind of horror. Not panic, inevitability. Because on Earth, danger usually has exits. You can run from storms, hide from disasters, escape collapsing buildings. But on this planet, every direction kills you. Leaving is impossible. Staying crushes you. The atmosphere burns you alive, and time itself becomes the enemy as everything slowly falls apart around you. And that's when the final transmission is recorded. Not a scream, not chaos, just silence inside the cabin as you watch the blue storms outside. Beautiful, almost peaceful, until another wave of sideways rain tears across the atmosphere like knives. Then, the recording ends. Decades later, humanity finally receives the message. A dead transmission from a world that looked like hope. Scientists replay the footage over and over again, trying to understand where things went wrong. But the answer is horrifyingly simple. Nothing went wrong. This planet was never survivable in the first place. Humans simply mistook beauty for safety. And maybe that is the most terrifying part of all. Because the universe does not hide monsters in darkness, sometimes it paints them blue.